Hello everyone, and welcome to this assembly and painting video for Kingdom Death Monsters Erza Starting Survivor, aka the Red Starting Survivor, although I don't think anybody actually refers to them as colors. Regardless, this is very obvious by the name, one of the four main starting survivors, one of the ones that's used in all the art commonly, and like the others, is very simple to assemble. I think this is actually the hardest of all of them, and that's not saying much. What is saying much is she is definitely the most awkwardly sculpted of all of them, with the whole arm across her breasts and everything, and it's just like, really? Really? You gave Lucy a second piece of cloth, but not Erza? Well, maybe it's her choice, whatever. Again, this game is partially you're either used to it or partially it's what you're here for, and I'm a bit of both. But regardless, on to the base coat. So, a lot of this is just her flesh, because, as I said, not as much cloth, although basically as much cloth as the two males. She is a darker skin tone than Lucy, and again, I'm putting these videos out as the skin tone gets darker, just as an order of releasing them, also is the order I painted them in, because it's just easier to then, go with, okay, so the base coat of the previous one is the highlight for the next one, which is exactly the case here. And it makes it very easy for choosing colors. And thus, once I got to the other three, because Alistair was done way before the others, just like these were all done way after their assembly, almost 2 years in this case, it was just easier to move on from one to the next, as the paint scheme is entirely the same for all of them, except for hair and skin tone, and skin tone isn't all that different between each of them. Hair is wildly different for all four of them, but we'll get to that. Like I said, this covers most of the model, needed to make sure not to miss any spaces, just covered the face. I get the ink under the eyes, or that would have been caked on the eyes, on their in between off camera. You'll see it later. But now on to the cloth, which is a off-white-ish gray. It's the same thing I use whenever I want to base coat anything white, and I don't want it to be super bright, at which point in time I'm probably glossing part of it, which I've never had to do, but I've always been prepared to do. And it works great for white armor, white cloth, pretty much anything except for, I would say, seafoam? I don't think I'd use it on seafoam. One of my upcoming models I'll be painting, the Well of Ouroboros, I'll be trying that with. It won't be sea, but it will still have water. Then onto her hair, which is anime-ish red hair. Again, Kingdom Death Monster is, specifically Kingdom Death Monster, not just Kingdom Death in general, is very anime-inspired. Berserk was one of the most obvious inspirations to that. In fact, when the author for Berserk recently passed away at the time of editing and doing this audio recording, I believe there was a tribute from the Kingdom Death team specifically, and then there's the false messengers. One of them is basically Guts, and you can always get the weapon in the core game that's very much like Guts' slab of iron. But yeah, just very anime-ish red, not at all natural looking. Aya's is more natural looking. Aya is the mascot-ish character for the series. If you want to see what she looks like under my series of videos, look for the Before the Wall video. I believe that's supposed to be Aya. Although I think I still did a very anime-ish kind of hair, but that was either the first or second Kingdom Death model I had painted. So here's some gray for the stone. It's the darkest gray I have. It's the same one that I use for the base topper when it's just a generic base, because I'm still thinking as if it's the sea of stone faces, or whatever you want to refer to the ground as. I don't have many of those. I only have the 10 that come with the game, and I plan to use them for the lantern set, the dragon set, and the green armor set, whenever I eventually get around to those, because those are all getting magnetized. I've only magnetized half the sets, and not even fully. So there was some orange for the base coat of the light of the lantern, which is what I prefer using when I want the ambient light to look more like it's yellow. And then the lantern itself, or the housing for it, because technically the light source is also part of it. And again, the lanterns are basically living organisms. Weird kind of thing, because weird setting. Is black. It's still supposed to look metallic-ish, so it will get dry brushed with a dark metallic, very iron-like color. But for now, it's just dry brush black, and making sure, to get that little bit of cloth on there. I don't remember if I got it earlier in this, but definitely got it at some point with that same gray for the same cloth. These lanterns are a little hard to paint without making a mess. I've kind of just started making a mess out of them because sometimes I just got to remember to make a mess. There's a reason I refer to this usually as my slop base coat. Whenever I'm painting any model, that's just what I refer to the base coat as, because I'm being sloppy. I want to get it done. It is quicker and easier and thus less anxieties on me. Oh, hey, there's the cloth right there. Just to paint the model, base coat, and fix it later. But that's, just how I do it. Then on to the ink wash. I think I did the ink wash a little less here for the body because I was definitely trying to experiment with not making it look as dirty, which I don't mind them looking too dirty for the starting survivors, or for that matter, any of the generic survivors for Kingdom Death Monster, but the other models, both in this game, be it the Kingdom Death generics or other things like that, or the holiday models, or models from outside this game, it's like, should they look dirty? But I'm mainly talking about the flesh, like the cloth and the hair. The ink wash just makes it look amazing. You can see speaking of ink, you can see the caked on ink splotches under the eyes, a little bit around, but I wanted to focus more on underneath, in my opinion, is how it looks. It's also how it looks in the early imagery for the intro to the White Lion fight. Oh, such good imagery there. And oops, there's a model shop. Whatever. Yeah, they're not that fragile, thankfully. Honestly, I don't think I would use them if they were. The resin and photo resin do worry me a bit, but I still gotta get around to assembling one of the resins these days and working on more of the photo resins, which for me is primarily Death Eye models. But regardless, that's not what we're here for. So, ink wash over the entire model, because that's just how I do it. I now have a non-black ink wash for flesh. It will be much nicer to use. I've used it on one of the Marvel Crisis Protocol, and it came out really well. But hopefully I'll be able to apply it to more Kingdom Death stuff. I don't know how well it will work on really pale models, but it will probably still work better than black. I might still also use some black ink towards the edges, which is still something that I tried focusing on, like where the body meets the cloth and such. And then onto the highlight. Getting the white out of the way real quick, which just makes the edges pop, which is the entire point of highlighting after an ink wash, or doing multiple layers of just, dark, medium, light. Various different ways to try to get that effect, but it's all the same in the end. Then a dry brush of a lighter red. I still have trouble getting this to come out right. It might just be my eyes, but it does show better on the camera and after it's varnished, so I'm guessing it's working. Then the flesh, which again was the base coat of Lucy, so, really easy to pick out. Again, just to make the details stand out. I don't really apply a lot of makeup to these Kingdom Death models, or for that matter, a lot of my models, unless it's like really obvious on there. And, lips aren't often really too much a different shade, or if they are, it's not like tremendously so. Let's not be old, bad artwork. You know what I mean. Regardless. But that pretty much ends up being most of the model, except for, the lantern and the object light sourcing of it. Oh, and of course the stone, but I don't remember if I did that on film. Regardless, here is the object light sourcing, sort of, like, I don't know why for this model and the previous one, and thus probably also Zachary, I ended up highlighting with the yellow, which is the highlight for the light itself. I usually do object light sourcing, and it might have been because of how these turned out, which was still nice, but not exactly what I was looking for the object light source effect itself. But that's the entire model. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to press that like button. If you think somebody else will enjoy this video, feel free to share it. Either way, it'll help this video get seen more. If you didn't like this video, go and press the dislike button. I won't mind, but please leave a constructive comment as to why. Also, feel free to comment in general, such as, would you like to see any of these other models from Kingdom Death or other games that you've seen me unbox, or just a lot of stuff in general. I keep getting more and more War Machine Horde stuff posted on this channel for painting videos or assembly videos. Would you like to hear more stuff about Kingdom Death Monster? Like, how are the lanterns organisms in themselves? Which I don't actually have an answer to, but that kind of stuff of like the weirdness of the setting, or the setting in general, or more gameplay stuff, be it a let's play or how to play, a review, any of the products on it. Or would you like me to get back to work on my detailed overviews for Kingdom Death? It's not something that I've absolutely stopped. It's something I'm still working on. It's just I've got a lot of other videos to catch up on, including these painting videos. And if you'd like to see more like this, be it more painting videos, my unboxing videos, my board game overviews, all three of which I do for Kingdom Death Monster, and anything else you might want to see on this channel, feel free to subscribe. Regardless, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.